Hey everyone, happy Easter. I put on my bright smiley orange shirt for you tonight for Easter celebration. I promised you that I'd make you a couple of Easter recipes and here we go. So, I know when I grew up, we'd always go to the 6 a.m. church. Yes, 6 a.m. church. My parents would drag me out of bed and we would have a breakfast at church before the service, and at that breakfast was always orange juice and cinnamon rolls and eggs and sausage, and it was always something that I remembered really fondly. And given this year that we're not able to be with our loved ones, I felt a little reminiscent, and I'm like, how can I make something that is going to give me the same feeling that I had of Easters of yore with my folks and my family? And so I did a little research and came up with Fathead Cinnamon Rolls. That's right, we are going to make cinnamon rolls today. I don't know if you follow the keto world or not, but there is a dough that you can make out of mozzarella cheese and cream cheese that is very versatile. You can use it for all kinds of things. You can use it for pizza crust, you can use it for the cinnamon rolls. I've seen it used to make bagels, like the wrapped hot dogs. Really, really easy recipe to do. And so that's what we're going to use tonight to make our cinnamon rolls for our early morning church service tomorrow. So what we've got here is 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese, and to that we're going to add 3 tablespoons of cream cheese. Now beware, don't do what I did, and I looked at the recipe and assumed 3 tablespoons equaled 3 ounces of cream cheese. In fact, it does not. There's a reason why I do these practice recipes. 3 tablespoons is 1.5 ounces of cream cheese. So just be aware of that when you are making this. So what we're gonna do now, pretty easy, is we're gonna take the cream cheese and the mozzarella, and we're gonna pop it in the microwave for about a minute 30, just to get it down, get it melted. It's gonna be very sticky when it comes out, and that's okay. So I'm gonna pop it in the microwave now, and we'll be right back in a few seconds. All right, so just fresh out of the microwave, I put this in for 1 minute and 20 seconds, and you can see that the mozzarella cheese is starting to melt and the cream cheese is super soft. And so now you're gonna fold this together and mix it all together, and the cheese, the mozzarella, is going to continue to melt down from the heat of the other cheese, but you're gonna just kind of keep folding it together like so. And it's nice and soft. Important that you use a glass bowl for the microwaving process. You can also do this on the stovetop and melt it down on the stovetop, just on really low heat, but the microwave is quicker and a lot simpler. The reason for the glass bowl is because ceramic bowls will cook it, and you don't want to cook it. Now, to our melty cheese, we're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder, 3/4 of a cup of almond flour, and 1 egg. There we go. And then we're going to continue to fold this all together here until we create a dough. And then we're going to take it out of our bowl and then continue to knead it until it is a firm, smooth consistency. So I'm just mixing all of this around in here. Get a good arm workout in for today. Now, one thing you're gonna need to keep in mind is that, of course, this is not going to taste like regular cinnamon rolls, big fluffy bread cinnamon rolls. They're going to be a much denser consistency once they are all baked. And I actually had to call a friend who I knew had made these before and say, hey, sent her a picture of my practice pan and said, hey, do these look right, or did I do something wrong? And she's like, nope, those are exactly how they turned out. So don't be alarmed if they come out and they're a little flat and squishy, okay? That's how it is. Now, as you can see, this is a really stringy consistency. And so this is where we're gonna knead it. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to take a little bit of almond flour, and I'm gonna sprinkle it out on my Silpat mat here. You can use coconut flour as well. But I'm just gonna sprinkle that on there and lay this out. Just kind of like if you were making Christmas cookies, cut out Christmas cookies, just so that the dough doesn't stick. And so we're going to scoop this out. If it gets too cool on you and it doesn't work, or if it is too sticky, you can always add a little more almond flour to the mixture itself. But if it does start to cool down too fast, because that's when it is easier to work with, is when it's warmer, you can pop it back in the microwave for about 20 seconds just to get it to loosen up a little bit. So there we go, we got our almond flour down on the mat here, and we're going to start to knead all of this together. Makes it a much easier process when you're kneading it together. And you're just gonna fold it together and fold it together and fold it together. And that is the act of kneading to get this all to work together. It does appear that I'm going to need to add a little bit more almond flour to this because it is a little bit on the stringy side. And so I'm gonna actually take a little break here and put a little extra almond flour on my pan, wash up my hands so I can reach into my bag, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, so a little bit of behind the scenes here. I did have to take it off of the mat and put it back in the microwave for about another 30 seconds. The mozzarella cheese hadn't melted down all the way and it was starting to become really stringy. So I did put it back in the microwave for about another 30 seconds. And now it is more of a dough ball that I want it to be. And so I'm going to now put it down on my Silpat that has a little bit of almond flour on it here, and we're going to continue to work it out here and knead it together. And this is a much better consistency. You can see how now it's actually starting to look like a bread dough, if you will. And so we're just working it all in, and so all of the ingredients get worked in together. And I did put down a little extra almond flour back down on my mat too. This is a much better consistency. So yeah, all it really needed was that I didn't get the mozzarella melted down all the way. So start out with a minute, add 20 seconds. If the cheese doesn't look all the way melted, do another 20 seconds, stir it together, and then kind of go from there. So good, this looks perfect. This is exactly what the practice round of dough looked like. So we got a nice little round ball here. And when I was making my practice rolls, I discovered that I don't own a rolling pin, which is recommended to do. So we are going to use our big giant can of Campbell's tomato soup tonight as a rolling pin. And you're gonna wanna put down on top of this a piece of parchment paper. I'll just move some things around here so that we can spread things out. And I'm just gonna put this down on the top. And I'm going to take my big can of tomato soup, and we're just going to roll this out as if we were making those Christmas cookies. So it's nice and thin and an even thickness. Make sure that you give yourself plenty of room so that you can get this all laid out. And it's going to roll out into a nice big rectangle here. Let's pick it up and look. And poof, there we go. We got a nice evenly distributed roll of dough. Now I'm going to take some melted butter or room temperature smoothed out butter. I did pop this in the microwave a little bit because I want it to be softer. And so we're going to take this butter and we're just going to spread it out over the top of our dough in a nice thin layer. And this is what's going to help keep the cinnamon and monk fruit sweetener that we're going to be using onto the dough. There we go. Doesn't require a lot. And now we're going to take our cinnamon and we're just going to spread this all out on the top of the dough. You can make it as heavily flavored as you would like, or if you're somebody who likes less of the cinnamon flavor, you can do less. I like a whole lot of flavor, so we're going to do quite a bit here. And then we're going to take our sweetener, our monk fruit sweetener, and you can use any granulated sweetener that you'd like. And we're just going to then spread that out just like we did the cinnamon on the top. There we go. And now we're going to roll it up. I'm going to roll it in this capacity to make our spiral. Your ends might be a little thinner just because the dough was a little thinner on the end. You can kind of taper them together there. We're just gonna roll this up like so. Very good. Now we have our tube, and I'm just gonna pick it up and turn it in this direction. And now we're gonna cut our rolls. I would not use a serrated knife. A serrated knife might drag through the dough and make it all messy. So I am using a smooth edge knife, and I'm just going to make about a 1-inch cut through our dough here. And we will spread them out here. All nice and pretty pinwheel. So we're going to continue to cut this. This recipe should make approximately 15 rolls, and then we're going to put them down into our greased baking pan. We'll pop them in the oven, and we're going to bake them at 350 degrees for 20 minutes. They'll get a nice golden brown on the top of them, and then we'll bring you back for the frosting. So a cinnamon roll isn't complete unless we have a frosting on it, right? So I did find a low-carb keto frosting recipe as well, and so this is amazing. I could bathe in this. This is so good. I love this frosting. I already put it together, and it is a thicker consistency frosting, but I kind of spread it on the top of the rolls like a butter, if you will. And so, but it's super, super good. Oh my gosh, it tastes great. So how I made this is I used a cup of powdered Swerve artificial sweetener or sweetener. This is the erythritol sweetener. And they come in different consistencies. There's a granular, a powdered, and a brown sugar, just like you would find in the grocery store for regular sugar. And this is the powdered, so you would need to use that. I also put in here 3 tablespoons of butter and a full pack of cream cheese, or 8 ounces of cream cheese to make this. Now, the original recipe didn't use any liquid to put this together, and when I was blending it together, it was really thick and crumbly. And so I did throw in then 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, and it made a much smoother consistency. It's been setting in the refrigerator, so I think that's the reason why it's a little stiffer looking right now as well. But when you put it on the top of the warm cinnamon rolls, it's gonna melt down into all of those little crevices and be ooey gooey good, just like you would on a regular cinnamon roll. When we're all said and done, the rolls are still baking currently, but when we're all said and done, this is what they're going to look like. Now remember, I said they're not going to be thick and they're not going to be fluffy like regular cinnamon rolls, but they do taste just like a cinnamon roll. My husband actually, who is kind of newer to trying some of these sweeter baked treats, thought it tastes like a cheese Danish. It's a thinner consistency, it's thicker or a more dense consistency. It's not as soft, but wow, they do really taste good. You can pop it in the microwave when you're all said and done, just to warm it up and soften it up a little bit. I do recommend that you put them in the refrigerator for storage, because it is made out of cheese. If you keep them out on the counter, they'll probably spoil. So do store them in the refrigerator when they're all done. One cinnamon roll is approximately 170 calories, 3 grams of net carb. That's right, 3 grams of net carb versus 45 to 50, and approximately 6 grams of protein. So yes, they are different, but they're amazing, and they're going to get you to the goal that you want to achieve when it comes to better health and an improved weight. Hope you guys all have a great Easter. Talk to you soon.